Good evening everyone. Welcome to the News Today edition of 24th of March. Today we will be covering the most important news development of today, and along with the main news we will be trying to focus more on the PYQs of the prelims examination as prelims is approaching. And my name is Anuj. I will be taking today's session. In today's session we will be covering 5 main news and 9 quick updates. There is no place or personality in news for today. In the first main news, we will be covering about the economic fallout of the Middle East conflict that have radiated far beyond the Gulf region. Then, in the second main news, we will be covering about a observation and report of WMO, which have observed that the Earth energy imbalance has reached 65 years peak. Then, in the third main news, we will be covering about that the global cooperation is changing but not declining, that have been observed by World Economic Forum. Then in the fourth main news, we will be covering about a bill, that is Corporate Law Amendment Bill, tabled in the Lok Sabha. Then in the fifth and the last main news, we will be covering about biogas as it has emerging as an alternative amidst the rising cooking fuel crunch. So these are the 5 main news that we will be covering, and along with these news we will be covering 9 quick update in a very brief. So this is a brief about today's session. Let us start with the first news. So first news is regarding the conflict in the Middle East region. So here, this context is that the economic fallout of the Middle East conflict have radiated far beyond the Gulf region. So obviously the oil sector and the natural gas sector has been affected, but there are other sectors as well which have been affected due to the conflict in the Middle East region. It is related to paper 2, where Slavers talks about effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries, which effect on India's interests. So let us start the discussion of this news. What is the development? We already have discussed the context. So development is that the conflict along with that it poses a structural shock to the world economy. That's a fact. But it is reshaping the key aspect from the global commodity market, industrial supply chain, financial condition, and the geopolitical alignment. This is the development for this news. Before understanding this news, let us understand about LNG, CNG, PNG, and LPG. They are continuously in news. That's why it becomes very important for your prelims examination to know about them. Let us first look at the LNG, CNG, and PNG. Okay. So, you know about natural gas. Suppose we are shifting or transporting natural gas from the Gulf region to India. We cannot transport it like a gas. We have to liquefy it at a very cool temperature. So, such type of transportation of natural gas at the liquefied state is known as liquefied natural gas. Then we have CNG. If you have a CNG vehicle, you might be noticing that we sometimes check the pressure at the petrol pump or the CNG pump, because here the natural gas is compressed at a pressure, that is compressed natural gas. Then piped natural gas. Okay, so that is the natural gas which is shipped to the houses through the pipes. And natural gas is it contains mostly of the methane. Then we have LPG that we oftenly use at our homes. Its basic, or it contains mostly the butane and propane. So don't think that this is an chemistry class. These terms are important for your prelims examination. And also think about why PNG is considered more safe than LPG as a fuel at house for cooking. Okay, please read about it. Why PNG is considered safer than the LPG. Okay, so let us move further in this news and discuss about the key impact of the conflict. First of all, the shipping route. You might be knowing about the issue of Strait of Hormuz, where American president is saying that we have been in talks with the Iran and they are stopping the war for the 5 days so that the energy or the fuel which passes through the Strait of Hormuz can pass through freely. Whereas Iran is saying that there are no such talks and they won't allow the passage of fuels from the Strait of Hormuz. That is the importance of Strait of Hormuz. Around 20% of global fuel supply of the crude oil is passed through Strait of Hormuz. Okay, so it connects the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman. That is the narrow sea passage between Iran and Oman, and it is a choke point for commodity flow and faces repeated disruptions where Iran was attacking ships and ship owners was not ready to send their ship through the Strait of Hormuz. Then more than 1,000 ships were strangled in the Persian Gulf. Then industrial supply chain was also impacted, especially the supply of helium. Okay, when there is production of natural gas, along with that there is production of helium. And helium is an inert gas which is very important for the production for the semiconductors manufacturing as well as medical imaging and other high-tech uses is impacted due to the production disruption in the Qatar, which contribute to 1/3 of its export. Okay, so it is used in these so that there is no harm to these technologies, such as in medical imaging, there are superconductors. Okay, so they are cooled down by the use of helium. Then there are other impacts as well, such as global food supply. First of all, Gulf is a major artery for the urea, ammonia, sulfur and other fertilizers. And as you are aware, most of the food production of the world is dependent on fertilizers, especially the nitrogen fixing fertilizers such as ammonia and urea. So they have been choked here. And there are secondary impacts as well, such as that the most urea which is produced in India is made using the natural gas as input. And in natural gas also 85% of is imported, and mostly that is imported from the Qatar. Okay, then there are asymmetrical geographical impact as well. So USA have attacked the Iran, but USA dependence on the crude oil which is passing through Strait of Hormuz is very low when compared to the dependence of the Asian countries. Some countries such as Japan and South Korea are dependent on this Strait of Hormuz for more than 90% for their crude oil and the natural gas. Whereas USA is dependent for only a fraction. So that's why there are asymmetrical geopolitical impacts. Then there is risk to the economic policies and risk of stagflation. What is stagflation? It is made by combining two words, that is stagnation and inflation. So here stagnation is of economic growth and inflation is rising prices. So there is the risk of stagflation that can be due to the input shock such as the oil shock. The oil price will be increasing, that will be leading to increase in the inflation, but that won't impact the economic growth. That's why there is risk of stagflation. Okay, that is the another impact of this conflict. So with this, we have completed this news. Now let us discuss PYQ related to this news. First, the PYQ, as we have discussed earlier as well, we will be focusing more on the PYQ of the prelims examination. So first PYQ is from the year 2020. And the question is, the term West Texas Intermediate, sometime found in the news, refer to grade of. Okay, it is related to crude oil. There are other grades as well, such as Brent, okay, Oman or Dubai. Then one more PYQ of the year 2020. It is related to inflation. Okay. With reference to the Indian economy, consider the following statement. First, if the inflation is too high, Reserve Bank of India is likely to buy government securities. Okay. Inflation is, that means there is too much of money in the market, or there are very few products. Suppose there is too much of money in the market, and if RBI buys the government securities, so RBI will be pumping money in the market. That will further increase the money in the market, and that will lead to increase in the inflation more. Okay, so that's why the first statement cannot be correct. So by that only you can come to the answer, because there is only one option which does not have one statement. So this is the answer. These can be eliminated due to the first statement itself. But let us read the second and third statements as well. If the rupee is rapidly depreciating, RBI is likely to sell dollars in the market. Suppose rupee is depreciating, that is also rapidly, which is also true for the today's conditions. Okay, that means there is no dollar in the market. There is shortfall of the dollar in the market. For that, RBI can sell dollar in the market. That will increase the dollars in the market. So that's why this statement is correct. Then, if interest rate in the USA or European Union were to fall, that is likely to induce RBI to buy dollars. Okay, if interest rate in USA or European Union were to fall, that means India's interest rate will be high. That means dollars will come to the Indian market. So RBI have to push back the dollar from the market. Okay, please be very clear about the economic concept. Then only you can solve the questions in the prelims examination. That is the only point of solving PYQ in the current affairs session. Okay, so that's why this statement will also become correct. So the answer will be B, 2 and 3. With this, we have completed the first main news for today. Now let us move to the second main news. So the second main news is related to Earth energy imbalance, which have reached the 65 years peak that has been observed by World Meteorological Organization. It is related to paper 3, where syllabus talks about geography, paper 1 and paper 3, where syllabus talks about sustainable development. Let us discuss this news and understand in detail. So what is the development? So the context which we have discussed is part of the finding of the State of the Global Climate 2025 report. So it is released by WMO on the World Meteorological Day. So whatever days are coming, please be little bit cautious, because last year UPSC in the prelims examination have asked about days. Then they have also asked about theme of BRICS, not of theme of this, but you should be aware about themes of the major event. And theme here is that observing today and protecting tomorrow. It has talked about Earth's energy imbalance as one of the key climate indicator for the first time. So before understanding this news, let us understand about the Earth energy balance or Earth heat budget. Okay, it is part of your geography and it is given in the geography book as well. But if you are not through with this, you cannot understand that news. That's why it has to be understood first. So these are the short-term radiation which are being put out by the sun. Suppose this is 100%. So this is the Earth. So here it come directly about 34 directly to the Earth, and it is sent back around 27% by the reflection from the cloud, and about 2% reflected from the Earth's surface. Then it is scattered, and around 17% of the scattered is sent to the Earth, and from this 6% is sent to the space, and 14% is absorbed by atmosphere. So this is the short-term radiation which have been emerged from the sun. Now let us look at the long-term radiation which is from the Earth. Okay. So 23 is radiated back. In that, 6 is settled in the atmosphere and 17 goes out. Okay. Then 9 is sent back by the Earth through the convection. Then 19 is sent back by the condensation. So how much heat is there in the atmosphere? 19, 9 and 6. That amount to 19 plus 9, 28, 6, 34 plus 14, which is the short-term heat which was sent by the sun. So there is 48% heat. So that is reflected back by the Earth. This is the heat budget of the Earth. What report is saying that this heat budget is not properly followed. There is more radiation or more heat in the Earth atmosphere that we will be understanding now. It will be easy to understand this news. So it is the difference between amount of energy the Earth receives from the sun and the amount of energy the Earth radiates back into the space. In normal condition, there should be equal amount that is coming to the Earth, and that is what is radiated back by the Earth. That is the heat budget, but that is not happening. That has been found out by the report of WMO. Then there are two things, which is positive EI when Earth is gaining energy and heating, and negative EEI, that is Earth is losing energy and cooling. And what are the reason for this? One of them is rising concentration of greenhouse gases. What greenhouse gases does is they act transparent to incoming short wave radiation, but they trap the long wave radiation which come from the Earth. Then reduction in the aerosol emission. What does this do? If there are less aerosol, there will be less reflection and scattering of the heat back to the space. Then increase in the water vapor. They also trap the outgoing radiation. And it has seen that earth energy balance and the imbalance. In normal condition, there should be the 100% coming and 100% going, but now there is imbalance, and in that 1% is there in atmosphere, 91% in the ocean, 3 in the ice, and 5 in the land, 5%. These are the findings, and there are other findings in the report as well. Let us have a quick look at them. That the 2025 was the second or the third warmest year on record, and about 1.43 degrees Celsius above the 1850 to 1900 average. Then the year 2015 to 2025 are the hottest 11 year on record. Then highest level of atmospheric concentration of CO2 have been recorded in the year 2024, and ocean heat content had reached a new record high. We have seen that the ocean is taking lot of heat, that is around 91% of heat. Okay, so with this we have completed this news. Now let us solve a PYQ of the year 2022. Please listen carefully. It is a very interesting and little bit tough PYQ. Okay. So consider the following statement. Statement 1. High cloud primarily reflect solar radiation and cool the surface of the earth. Then low clouds have a high absorption of the infrared radiation emanating from the earth's surface and thus causing a warming effect. You might be knowing about the type of clouds, and clouds are also identified or differentiated based on the heights: low cloud, mid latitude, altitude clouds, and the high clouds. This question is about clouds, and they are mixing it with the radiation. So catch here is that the reflection of solar radiation is by the low clouds, not by the high clouds. That is by the low clouds. And the high absorption of the infrared radiation that is emanating from the earth's surface is by the high clouds, not by the low clouds. So the answer would be D, neither 1 nor 2. Okay, please don't worry about such question. First of all, this is a very analytic question, and this is not given in many of the textbooks, standard textbook. That's why it's become little bit tough. Okay, so let us move to the next news. And next news is about that the global cooperation is changing and not declining. That has been observed by the World Economic Forum, and there is a report that is called Barometer, which was released in January, and we are discussing it now, and it is related to paper 2, international relation. There was 2 questions in the mains last year, but we will not be discussing those questions because we will be focusing more on the PYQs of the prelims examination. But I will let you know what type of questions were there in the mains examination related to this news. Let us start this news. So the development, the Global Cooperation Barometer, it was released in the January. It is published by the World Economic Forum, tracked the global cooperation in the 5 areas, and it have used the 41 indicators. So they have found out that the global cooperation is not decreasing, but the dynamics are changing. Okay, some days back, the World Economic Forum have pointed out that the geo-economic confrontation have become the leading cause for the disruption at the world. It was previously by the military attack or the armed conflict. Now the disruption to the world order or the trade of the world is due to geo-economic confrontation. What is the meaning of geo-economic confrontation? Basically, war by using the economic means such as tariffs. Okay, that is the geo-economic confrontation, which was there. This term was there in the news last 1 or 2 months back. It was also related to the World Economic Forum. That's why it become very important. In last 15 years, there are 3 direct questions from the World Economic Forum. Okay, we will be solving 2 out of those 3 in this news. So what are the key observations regarding the evolving nature of the global corporation? First of all, about the trade and capital. What are the issues? Issues are barrier in the multilateral trade system, and they have supported it by the example of US tariffs. Then they have said that there have been evolution in the nature, that is rise of smaller and interest based coalition, and they have given the example of future of investment and trade partnership. Basically this is a 16 member trade partnership. India is not part of this. Then second pillar or second area is about innovation and technology. They have said there has been increased restriction on the advanced technologies, and they have supported that USA have put restriction on supply of the AI chips, as well as China have also banned the export of some rare minerals. But they have said there are new partnership in AI and the 5G infrastructure, such as between the Gulf region and the India. Then in the third area, they have talked about the climate and natural capital. They have said that there have been cooperation increasing in this sector, but there have been insufficient progress for climate and natural capital cooperation towards the Paris Agreement goals. So they are saying that there have been growth, but that is not sufficient to meet the goals of Paris Agreement goals. Whereas evolving nature, they have talked about increasing financing and global supply chain for deployment of clean technologies, such as reached a record level in mid 2025, and they have given the example of EU's clean industrial deal that want to make the climate neutrality about the year 2050. Then health and wellness. They have said that there was increase in the cooperation during the coronavirus, but that have been not sustained. So they are saying that development assistance for health contract affecting the low and the middle income countries have been affected, and donors like US, Germany, UK are cutting the funding, especially the US. But they are also talking about the growing regional cooperation, such as Organization of Eastern Caribbean States scaling a model to reduce the price of insulin in the region, which is used for the diabetics. Then in the last, they have talked about peace and security, and they are saying that this area is mostly affected and that have decreased in a very rapid manner, such as global multilateral resolution mechanism has struggled to de-escalate the crisis. It can be supported by the example of UNSC. Okay, and escalation of conflict are there in many regions, such as Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Hamas war, and presently Israel, US, and Iran war. Okay, and there has been increase in the defense spending. And what is the evolving nature? That the mini-lateral diplomacy has contributed to escalation in 2025, and Turkey has mediated the de-escalation talk between Ethiopia and Somalia under the Ankara Declaration. So this is the key observation regarding the evolving nature of global cooperation. And they have given some recommendation. These recommendations are mostly important for your mains examination, not prelims examination. The recommendations are that positively remap the cooperation format to the right issues. So there should be cooperation on the right issues. Then there should be strengthening resilience and cooperation through an new organizational capacities, because the old organizations are not working that much strong. That is why there should be strong resilience and cooperation through the new organizational capacities. Then there should be advanced shared interest through new public-private and private-private coalition. So there should be more coalition, so that there should be advanced shared interest. And if there will be advanced shared interest or share interest, there will be less conflict. So with this, we have completed this news. Let us discuss the PYQs related to the World Economic Forum. So there are 2 questions about in the year 2017, then another from the 2019. And once UPSC have asked about the founder of WEF. Okay, that is the third PYQ. So let us solve these two PYQ and please read about the founder of WEF. So the first question, which of the following gives global gender gap index ranking to the countries of the world? As we have discussed that these questions are related to World Economic Forum. So this is given by the World Economic Forum. Then the Global Competitiveness Report is published by the, answer would be C, World Economic Forum. Okay, so with this we have completed this news. Let us move to the next news. So the next main news is about the corporate laws amendment bill which have been tabled in the Lok Sabha. It is related to paper 2 where syllabus talks about important aspect of governance. Let us discuss this news. So what is the development? The bill aimed to amend the Limited Liability Partnership Act of 2008 and the Companies Act of 2013 to promote the ease of doing business and reduce the compliance burden. Basically, there have been changes so that the business should be set up fast way and there should be less compliance burden. Before understanding this bill, let us understand about what is Limited Liability Partnership. Okay, you don't have to read this in detail. You are not preparing for the CA examination, but you should be knowing a basic about this. So there are two things. First, there are partnership and there are companies. So in partnership, where people come together informally or they can register, there is flexibility in working, but there is unlimited liabilities. And in companies, there will be limited liabilities but there won't be flexibilities. So in and around year 2008, government have come with an idea that is limited liability funding. Limited liability partnership. In this, they take good from the partnership as well as companies. That is, from the partnership they take the flexibilities, and from the companies they take the limited liabilities. Such type of organization are known as limited liability partnership. Here, the liability is only to the part where you are contributing. Okay, so this is about the limited liability partnership. Okay, you should be clear that this is a middle ground between the partnership and the companies. Okay, let us discuss this bill now. And first of all, what is the need of this bill? As we have discussed in the development, it is for enhancing ease of doing business by simplifying the process and providing ease of compliance for one-person companies, small companies and the startup companies. You should be also clear with the definition of startup. What is the definition which is given by the government? Okay, it should be not more than 10 years. The outcome or the revenue should not be more than 10 years. It should be working toward innovation. It should not be formed by splitting or merging of two old companies. So please be very clear about the definition. Okay, what government is giving. There are chances that UPSC can ask. They have asked about the definition of MSME in the year 2023. They can also ask about the definition of startups. Okay, then it is for attracting the investment, because they will update the regulatory framework to align with the evolving financial environment, so that there should be better investment in the companies. Then it will streamline the regulation, because it will improve the operational efficiency by removing the ambiguities and rationalizing the compliance requirement. So these are the need of the bill. Now let us discuss some provision of the bill. So first of all, it is about the corporate social responsibility relaxation. It is to reduce the burden on the small companies. That is the issue which has been raised by the opposition, and that's why this bill have been sent to the joint parliamentary committee. There have been other issues as well, but the important issue is that there have been relaxation regarding the corporate social responsibility to the small companies. Then they have talked about the National Financial Reporting Authority. It will grant corporate status and expanded adjudicatory power to issue direction. Basically, it is an company which is established by the Companies Act of 2013 for external audits. Then they have talked about share buyback. So they have talked about that specified companies will be permitted to conduct up to 2 share buyback in a single year with minimum age of 6 months. What is share buyback? Suppose I am a company and I have made my shares public, and public have my shares. So if I buy back my share from the public, that is share buyback. That increase the confidence of the investor, and there are other benefits of it as well. Then there is decriminalization of minor offense, and they have been replaced with the monetary penalties. Then there is conversion of trust, as it established a new structural framework that allow specified trusts such as alternative investment fund registered with the SEBI or the IFSCA to convert directly them into limited liability partnership. We have understood about the limited liability partnership when we were discussing the development of this news. Then it has also talked about audit, that the certain classes of small companies will be exempted from the audits annually. That was mandatory to ease down the business. So there have been issues with the bill. That's why it has been sent to the joint parliamentary committee for more further discussion. Let us discuss PYQ related to this news. So the PYQ is from the year 2024. And the question is regarding corporate social responsibility. Let us discuss the question. With reference to the corporate social responsibility rules in India, consider the following statement. Statement 1, CSR rules specify that expenditure that benefit the company directly or the employee will not be considered as the CSR activities. Okay, that is the exact statement which is there regarding the CSR. That's why this statement is correct. If you think logically as well, so you will find that this will be true. But it is very easy to say after the examination that it can be solved logically with the in the examination. But in the exam, there are different conditions and there is a pressure added. So there are things which are very easy when you see after the exam, but in the exam you should be knowing little bit about the question given. Then the second statement is that CSR rules do not specify minimum spending on the CSR activities. So actually CSR rules specify minimum spending, that is around 2% of the profit. So that this is not a correct statement. The answer would be A, 1 only. Which of the statement given above is or are correct? Please read about the correct and the incorrect part, because sometime you know the answer, but UPSC will ask about the incorrect statement. Okay, now let us move to the next main news, and next main news is related to biogas, which is emerging as an alternative amidst the rising cooking fuel crunch. Okay, you might be aware that there have been issues regarding the LPGs. Okay, that is the context, and it is related to GS paper 3, where syllabus talks about sustainable development. So the first slide is about the biogas. There is a PYQ which is directly related to biogas. So let us understand it in a complete manner. It is produced after organic materials that have carbons are broken down by bacteria in an oxygen-free environment. That means anaerobic reaction, a process called the anaerobic anaerobic digestion. So bacteria are digesting the organic materials and they are producing the biogas, and this digestion is known as anaerobic digestion. Okay, and its composition include methane about 50 to 60%, carbon dioxide, traces element of ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, and moisture as well. So let us understand with the diagram. It is a diagram for household biogas system. If you have visited some park or some rural areas, you might have seen that such type of setup are there near the manure area, or where the manure of the uh, byproducts of the cattle are being deposited. Okay, so what it have been done, that mixing tank dung is mixed with the water, and then there is an aerobic digester, and it send the biogas, and the bioslurry is used in the field, okay, as a fertilizer or biofertilizer. Okay, so it help in increasing the productivity in the rural areas. It also help in less dependence on the fossil fuels, and it is also environmental sustainable. Okay, biogas is a renewable source of energy. Now let us move further and understand about the main technologies which are involved in the production of the biogas. First of all, the biodigesters. So here the airtight systems, which are containers or tank, where organic material diluted in water is broken down by naturally occurring microorganisms. Okay, we have discussed, or we have seen the diagram. Okay, that is this mixing tank. The dung is mixed with the water, and there is anaerobic digester which help in production of biogas. Then landfill gas recovery systems, which involve the decomposition of municipal solid waste which contain organic components and under anaerobic condition at the landfill site. So the process involved is same. Then wastewater treatment plant. So these could recover the organic matter, solid and nutrition from the sewage sludge, which could be used to put into produce of the biogas. These are the some method, but basic principle is same, that is the anaerobic digestion by the microorganisms. Let us look at the some of the initiative of the government for biogas promotion in India, and these initiatives become very important at the present condition when there is issues or shortfall of the cooking gas. So first one is galvanizing organic bioagro resources dhan, that is the Gobar Dhan scheme. Gobar is the term which is used for the dung in Hindi. Okay, and it is launched under the Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin in 2018, and it aimed at the converting bio waste into biogas. Then there is National Bioenergy Program. It comprises of sub-scheme related to biogas. First one is Waste to Energy Program, where energy from the urban, industrial, agriculture waste and municipal solid waste in the form of biogas and bio-CNG is produced. And processes like incineration, gasification or pyrolysis are involved in waste to energy technique. It is related to burning of the bio waste. Then there is biogas program which is from 2021-22 to 2025-26. It is for setting up of the biogas plant for clean cooking fuel and lighting, etc. So these are the initiatives which have been taken for the production of the biogas in India. Now let us discuss one PYQ related to this news. So the PYQ is from the year 2019. And the question is, consider the following statements. Statement 1, 1 carbon monoxide, 2 methane, 3 ozone, 4 sulfur dioxide. So the question is, which of the above are released into the atmosphere due to burning of crop biomass residue? Okay, let us look at the composition of the biomass again, biogas, sorry. It have methane, it have carbon dioxide, it have traces elements of ammonia, that is NH3, hydrogen sulfide and moisture. Okay, now let us look at the question. So carbon monoxide will release, then methane will also release, ozone will also release, and sulfur dioxide will also released. So the answer would be D, 1, 2 and 3, and it is the question from the year 2019. Okay, now let us move to the quick update and discuss the quick updates. So the first quick update is about the globe network. And what is the context? The context is that India have hosted the 12th steering committee meeting of the Global Operation Network of Anti-Corruption Law Enforcement Authorities. That is Globe Network. In this news, we will be understanding about the Globe Network. Basically, it was launched in the year 2021 based on the Riyadh initiative. And what is its purpose? Basically, it is a global platform which is specialized in anti-corruption law enforcement authorities. And what does they do? They inform about the transnational cooperation worldwide to detect, investigate and prosecute the corruption cases. Suppose I am doing corruption in India, I am running to the another country, and where authorities can translocate me and they can cooperate about to detect, investigate and prosecute regarding the corruption cases. And what are the members? It is open to anti-corruption law enforcement authorities of all the UN member state and the state parties to the Convention Against the Corruption. From India, CBI and ED are part of this GLOBE network. Central Bureau of Investigation and Directorate of Enforcement are its members, and it is supported by UN Office of Drugs and Crime, which provide its secretariat as well. There was a mains question regarding the UN Office on Drugs and Crimes, I think in the year 2023 and or 24, okay, in the international relation. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about initiative for promoting orange economy. Here the term orange economy is there in the news. First of all, before understanding about the context, let us understand about the orange economy. So basically, orange economy, which is also called creative economy, refer to the sector driven by the ideas, technology, culture and the intellectual properties rather than traditional manufacturing. So basically, orange economy is, suppose you might have thought about starting a YouTube channel. So supporting a starting a YouTube channel is related to orange economy. It is called creative economy. So the context here is that the three initiatives, that is National AI Skilling Initiative, My Wave and rollout of Advanced Electronic Program Guide, these three initiatives have been started by the government, and inbuilt satellite tuner in the television set have launched, okay, for promoting the India's orange economy. We have understand about orange economy. Let us understand about two of the initiatives, that is National AI Skilling Initiative. It is launched by Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and it is in the partnership of Google and YouTube. Then there is My Wave. It is a structured platform for users generated content. Okay, users can generate the content, and that enable citizen to create, upload and share content on the Waves OTT platform of the Prasar Bharati. So it is also important that the Waves OTT platform is of Prasar Bharati. Let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about remission of duties and taxes on the exported product scheme. Okay, this scheme is important because it is continuously in news from last 2 to 3 years. It was launched in the year 2021, I guess. Okay, and the context here is that the Government of India have decided to restore the rates and the values caps under this scheme for all the eligible export product. Okay, so this context is not that important, but this scheme is very important. So it was launched in the year 2021 by amending the foreign trade policy of 2015-20, and it was replaced by merchandise export from India scheme. And why this scheme was replaced? Because it was not compatible with the WTO. That's why a new scheme was brought in the year 2021, and the name of that scheme was Remission of Duties and Taxes on the Exported Products. Its objective is to provide the refund of taxes, duties and levies incurred during the manufacturing and distribution of the exported goods that are not reimbursed under any other central, state or local mechanism. That is its objective, and it is administered by the Department of Revenue, which is there under the Ministry of Finance. Please be very clear that it is administered by Department of Revenue, and Department of Revenue is under Ministry of Finance. Okay, now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about AI for agriculture innovation, that is AI for AI. Okay, such type of phases can be asked in the prelims examination. Okay, it was launched by the WEF. Okay, so World Economic Forum AI for AI initiative is driving transformation in agriculture. Okay, the context is very generic, but here the important thing is that you should be knowing about this initiative AI for AI. Okay, so it was launched in the year 2021, and as its name suggests, it is to bring together public and private partnership to scale the impactful agri-tech solution and accelerate transformation of the global food system. Okay, that is the aim of this initiative, and its key focus areas include the inclusivity, that is towards the small landholders, then the sustainability, that is reducing the environmental impact of the farming, and about efficiency, that is about minimizing the losses and the wastage from agriculture. Okay, and it is used by 4 Indian states in India, that are Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Telangana and Madhya Pradesh. Please be very clear that AI for AI is an initiative of WEF, World Economic Forum. When we were discussing the main news, we were discussing a news related to World Economic Forum, where we have seen that UPSC have focused on the question related to World Economic Forum. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about superconductivity. And the context here is that the scientists have used a new technique called the pressure quenching to raise the temperature by 18 degrees Celsius under the room pressure to attain the superconductivity. Okay, it is often seen that superconductivity is stored at a very low temperature. So they have allocate this superconductivity at a 18 degrees of temperature, 18 degrees Celsius. Now let us understand about superconductivity. It was discovered by Dutch physicist named by the Heike Kamerlingh Ons. And what is the meaning of superconductivity? You know about conductivity and you know about insulators as well. So what is superconductivity? It is the properties of certain materials to conduct the direct current, electricity without energy loss. That is means there is zero resistance. Okay, if we see the formulas, it is very difficult to achieve the zero resistance. Okay, and energy loss is zero when they are cooled below a critical temperature. Critical temperature is most often than not is a very low temperature. That is the definition of superconductivity, and there are 2 basic properties: that there is no resistance to the passage of electric current, we have discussed by the definition itself. Then the external magnetic field will not be penetrated, and it will be there on the surface. Okay. In the material which have superconductivity, the external magnetic field will not penetrate through that material, but it will be there on the surface, and this phenomena is known as Meissner effect. Okay, now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about Nalgonda technique. And what is the context? The context is that the center have commissioned a research project to evaluate the technologies to remove fluoride and water amid the concern about the existing standard which are based on the Nalgonda technique. So there are better solution to remove the fluoride from the water. Now let us look at the Nalgonda technique. It is a 3 chemical, namely aluminium salt, lime and bleaching powder, which are used to add it to raw fluoridated water followed by rapid mixing. So the materials or the chemicals are rapidly mixed, and flocculation, that means flokes are formed in the water, and they settled as sediments, and that they are filtered out, and there is disinfection process. That is the total process of the Anaconda technique. It is simple and cost effective, which is developed by the National Environment Engineering Research Institute. Okay, and it is recommended by the Government of India for its application to remove the excess fluoride from the drinking water. Now let us move to the next quick update. So the next quick update is about Subhash Chandra Bose Apada Prabandhan Puruskar. Okay, if you know Hindi, you will understand that this is for the disaster management and it is a reward. Okay, so the context is that the Home Ministry said that the nomination for the Subhash Chandra Bose Disaster Management Award are open throughout the year and can be made until the September 30. Again, the context is not that important, but we have to understand about the Subhash Chandra Bose Apada Prabandhan Puruskar. It is announced every year on the 23rd January, which is the birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Then it is instituted by Government of India, and award categories include individual as well as institutions. And it is to recognize and acknowledge the invaluable contribution of individual and institution in the field of disaster management. If you are writing some answer related to disaster management, where you can write about this Puruskar, and eligibility include that both Indian citizen and the institutions which are from India are eligible. Now let us move to the next news. The next news is about Garbhini. Garbh. Okay, you might have studied Garbhagriha in your history. It is the Garbhini. It is not related to that Garbhagriha. The context here is that India's largest pregnancy cohort study of 1200 women under the Garbhini initiative. In this news, we will be understanding about this initiative. Basically, it is aimed at developing indigenous AI-driven solution to address the preterm birth. The birth which takes place before the 37 or before the completion of the time of the pregnancy. So it is a flagship program which is supported by the Department of Biotechnology, and it is aimed to reduce the adverse pregnancy outcomes. And its initiative has also established a national biorepository and Garbhini Drishti data sharing platform which enable wider access for research community. And there is Garbhini pregnancy cohort is one of the largest pregnancy cohort in South Asia, which have been established from year 2015 in the Gurugram Civil Hospital. Now let us move to the next and the last quick update. It is about the conflicts areas in the news. Okay, you might have seen that most often than not, UPSC asked about the areas which were there in the news due to conflict. I think in the year 2024 or 25, they have directly asked like these places were in the conflict and what was the reason that these places were there in the news and why there was a conflict. Here, this is related to the conflict in the Middle East. First of all, Dimona is a southern town hosting Israel nuclear facility. It is there in Negev desert. It is the desert of southern Israel. Then Natanz nuclear enrichment facility, it is of Iran. Then South Pars gas field, it is part of the world largest natural gas field which is said between Iran and Qatar. Then Litani River, it is entirely there in the Lebanon, and crossing was destroyed on Litani River by the Israel in the southern Lebanon, that was reportedly being used by Hezbollah. Hezbollah basically is proxy of the Iran in the Lebanon which attacked the Israel, and they were using a crossing on the Litani River which is completely there in Lebanon, which was destroyed by Israel. Then Tyre city, it is a coastal city in southern Lebanon which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site because it is one of the oldest continuous city in that region. Then there is Ras Lafanan Industrial City. It is Qatar's main gas facility came under the attack recently. Then there was some other areas as well, such as Kyrgyz Island. Okay, so with this we have completed the News Today session for today. And if you want to read further about the current affairs, you can visit the digital current affairs website of us, and please solve the question which are visible on your screen. Thank you, and have a nice day.